All right.
I am so
Okay, I've
happy.
never been more excited to be part of a show that starts like that.
I
With
know.
pandas.
Oh, the panda on the moped is my favorite thing ever.
It's the best. It's the best.
No, there it goes. All right. Well, that was fun. So, hello everybody. Welcome to another The Customer Success Show. Brad Davis, founder of Success Panda. Today we have Christy, Brittany, and Marianne joining us today. How are we doing, ladies?
Wonderful.
Great.
It's
Doing
Friday.
well.
Yeah.
Good,
Friday.
good. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming year. We're going to make predictions, hot takes. I'll give my bad takes, maybe a dad take. I don't know, but we'll talk about what we think is going to be happening in 2025, and then we will. If you have a question, also it's a live show, and if your question's a great question, feel free to submit it, and we can bring it on stage. So let's do some intros. So on my screen here, we'll just go with Christy, then Brittany, then Marianne, if you want to do intros in that way.
Wonderful. Well, I'm thrilled to be back, Brad. Excited for today's conversation. So my name is Christy Falteruso. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Client Success. Spent the past 12 years building, scaling, and transforming customer success teams in the B2B SaaS space, and excited to share some of my thoughts on what I think next year is going to bring.
Awesome. My name is Brittany Casey. I'm the Director of Customer Engagement at DocuSign. Also thrilled to be back. I think I was on here last with Christy last time, so we can make this a yearly thing, I think. But I've been in customer success account management for 12 years and recently moved over to the growth organization at DocuSign to build out our customer engagement programs. And like Christy, really excited to talk about the future of customer success and what 2025 might look like.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah. Hi, I'm Marianne Lazzari. I'm a customer success manager at Salesforce, working with customers on the high-tech strategy team. I have been in customer success as well for over 10 years. And I am super excited to be here with these ladies. This is my first time on Success Panda. So let's do this. We've got lots of hot takes for you.
Well, there you go. I like the one comment because it comes in like this, like I used to say, hello, ladies, and Brad.
And Brad. I mean, at least you got a little bit of a shout out there, Brad. It's not like they completely ignored you.
I know. So, which is cool. She got the right name, though. My name is Brad. So awesome. So let's cover our first question. Let's just jump right in. So let's talk about what do you think the theme is going to be of 2025? And then if you want to, just sprinkle in there, what do you think the theme was for 2024 and maybe how that went? Because we're not doing so much of our opinions of 2024, but I'm interested to see what you thought it was, and then you can go into that in 2025. So we'll start with, how about we start Marianne, then Brittany, then Christy?
Sure. I personally think the theme of 2025 is AI all day, every day, all the time. There have been so many advancements. It is moving at lightning speed, and I am lucky enough to be witnessing all of the things that my company is doing and how quickly we are advancing in AI. And I think it's going to be utilized by CSMs and just success departments across the board, no matter what industry or wherever you are. You need to learn how to incorporate AI into your workflow every single day.
Like that. What do you think, Brittany?
I think the theme of 2025 is going to be revenue. I think that we are getting closer and closer to, if your customer success team is not tied to a revenue number that you're contributing to the business's growth and retention, then you're going to have a hard time surviving in B2B SaaS. So I think that metrics are going to get a lot harder. We're going to lose some of those sentiment and health scare metrics and be a lot more focused on things like NRR, and things that actually matter to the overall business, not just the customer success department. So be ready to be working really in tandem with your account executives on your different teams and ready to own a revenue number.
Man, shots fired. There we go. All right.
All right. Well, I'm going to give, because I would obviously say both of those. And definitely if I had a top three, mine is probably going to come at the bottom of my list. But I think it's foundational to both the topics that you guys selected. And it's going to be a focus on data. Now, listen, I speak at a ton of events all the time. And one of the questions I always ask is, how many of you trust your data? And guess how many hands ever get raised? Like zero. Or the two people that actually believe they have good, great data, but they really don't. But the big focus around this is you can't use AI, you can't forecast, you can't do any of those things if your data isn't great, and it needs to be accurate, current. There needs to be governance around it, and teams need to be able to pull it together, because if you can't bring all of your data together, even the best innovation around AI is only going to give you a partial story. You're only going to be able to take the actions as good as the data is going to support. So none of those things can be possible if we're not rallying around data.
Agreed. Good, clean, quality data.
So 2 points, what you just said, Christy. One is, in a previous position, I actually sold cloud consulting services, and there's actually a software where what they can do is it's actually free, but you can upload your basically your company spend into this, and it'll tell you how many like iterations of Amazon S3 buckets or Azure or all the different cloud services. And it was every time we went into a company, we would always ask them, so like, how many instances you have spun up? They're like, oh, Gary over there's got one, and Brittany's got one. They're like, so probably two. Every time we checked, it was
like
always
17 come back.
27. Yeah, no, there's like 27, because all of these different directors or VPs or leaders, they're like, instead of just going to the internal tool and trying to work with your internal developers, they're like, it's easier if I just spin up my own instance and then do what I need to do in order to do my job. So
yeah. And listen, shadow IT is a big cause of this issue as well. So shadow IT is all of your teams that are your team members that are using these free point solutions, like, oh, I'm using the free version of Monday, or I'm taking my notes in Evernote and I'm using OneNote over here, or I'm doing this. You have teams that are using tools you don't even know exist, because they're not part of your approved tech stack. And so there's no governance or management around it. When you have data that lives in those, forget it. You don't even have access to it. So
right.
There's a billion things that are happening in organizations that are prohibitive and preventative. And so if this doesn't get under control, doesn't matter. All the cool stuff, I was going to say something else, all the cool stuff we want to do is not going to be possible.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I have a framework that I use called APP. It stands for Assets, Process, People, Policy. And so when have your customer journey up here, and then you have your app framework down here going vertically, and it's like you just map out, like, what are the tools we use in onboarding, what are the assets we use in implementation, and so every time that I've done that, it just provides clarity, because you're onboarding a new person. Oh, hey, by the way, we don't use our personal Apple Notes in order to take
right. And what's so crazy is that companies just don't have any governance around it, or folks just aren't aware that is a potential liability to them. I even say, like, listen, if you've got teams that are writing stuff in a notebook and they're working remote, like, you've got proprietary data that is living and staying with them forever. Guess what? You don't own that anymore. So companies really need to figure this out.
Is that the ultimate troll, though, Christy? Is like, if you leave a company,
I mean, like, look at me, look at all my IP.
Yeah, you just ship them all your notebooks, and you're just like,
we're paperless. I'm not allowed to have paper, so all
See?
That was an adjustment for me. I loved my little leather notebook that I brought to customer meetings back in the day, and these days it is all digital. So I think you're right. I think companies need to get ahead of their AI strategy. I think that's going to be critical for success, because what's going to end up happening if your employees see opportunities to optimize different ways but aren't consistent with it, and you don't have controls around it, they're actually going to really slow down the process and really create a lot of hurdles that shouldn't be there. So companies need to take the step and decide what their AI strategy is, much similar to, what Agentforce might be bringing to its customers, but they need to make a decision there, even if they're worried about the compliance around it, the legal aspect of it. You need to start moving in a direction and have a plan for it, because it is the future, and you are not going to avoid AI. It is going to be an integral part of business by the end of 2025.
1000%. And you need to have that AI strategy and that AI governance board in place. So that is my biggest suggestion. I think every company needs to think about that if they haven't already, to just get that AI steering committee in place so that you can set all those processes and all those playbooks out so everyone is doing it uniformly across the company and your data stays safe this way.
I'll just be sitting by myself, maybe with Mel on the meeting, be like, AI board committee, ready, break. Okay. So awesome. Well, we're kind of on the topic. Are there any emerging technologies or companies you're excited about in 2025? I'll just open it up to see whoever wants to go first.
I know Marianne's answer.
Oh my God. I can't spend this whole time talking about AI and Agentforce, but Salesforce has amazing things coming down the pipe. Every day I am blown away at what these agents can do. It's unbelievable. You can customize them to do anything you want. You provide the actions and the roles, you give that to them, and then the world is your oyster. It's unbelievable. So yes, I think be on the lookout for all of the new updates coming to Salesforce. If you can attend an Agentforce World Tour in your city, in a city near you, go for it. Highly suggest it. It's like a mini Dreamforce. Super fun.
Are there performances, Marianne?
By mascots? Yes, there are performances at Dreamforce.
Yes.
No, I know, but on these mini ones you're pitching, I mean, like, I don't want to go if it's not going to be a concert, because that's why everyone goes to Dreamforce, right?
I want to meet Agentforce. I want to meet the Robot Man. I don't just want to hear about it. I want to meet Agentforce while I'm there.
If you want, you'll meet him there. You will meet him. He will dance for you. He will do headstands. It's pretty amazing.
And I can attest to this. So I met Marianne at Dreamforce this year for the first time in person. And I swear to God, when I met her, when she came up to our DocuSign container, she was bouncing off the walls, having just left her training for Agentforce. She was so excited about it. And it was so cool to hear about the direction. And yeah, so as a partner of Salesforce, we're also and customer of Salesforce, we're excited about it too. But I think just thinking about work in a different way. I don't have a specific company or tech. I think it's more reimagining how you do these things in a way that we've never been able to do before is what's exciting to me. Like, the possibilities are endless. If you get ahead and you get up to speed with AI and feel comfortable with it, where you're able to build your own models and really make the AI work for you, that's what's really exciting to me. Of course, we do want to align to whatever our company's policy is and how you're using it, but the freedom that AI is going to give you to really focus on the strategic tasks is what I'm excited about.
So I also don't have a tool to recommend. Obviously, I can always plug client success here, but I think the way that I think about this is, I think the problem with some of the things that I'm seeing with existing tech and how it's incorporating AI, and I won't speak for Salesforce because I'm sure they're taking a different approach here, but for smaller companies that maybe have a few less resources than Salesforce, what I see folks doing is kind of tacking on AI. And so it becomes this like small feature set. And I think if you're seeing that built into the technologies that you're really building your strategies around, I'd actually caution you to stop and rethink what's going on there, because it shouldn't be small features just enhancing workflows. You actually should be using AI as the first force strategy, and then using that to figure out where is human capital going to be driving value for the business. Unfortunately, we're letting technology dictate our behaviors in a lot of cases, especially if you are a early, I would say like, less mature customer success organization, right? It's easy to want to partner with your vendors and allow them to guide your strategy. If, we don't know what we don't know, but I'm just going to caution you all not to do that. You need to be thinking about, how does your strategy reimagined, Brittany, to your point, and how is it restructured and redesigned strategically with AI as the first mantra? And then where do you add people from there? And if you're doing it backwards, I'm telling you, it's just not going to scale. It's not going to work.
So I'm going to be contrarian because I never do that.
Brad.
Yeah, I never do that.
Go for it.
Here's my initial thought. Social media made us the promise that with the advent and the distribution of social media, we would be more connected than ever, but studies show we're less connected than ever.
Yes.
I think, I don't even think anymore. I just presuppose, I'm putting it out in the, I almost know that a lot of times, just like with any technology, there's going to be promises made, but maybe it doesn't actually shake out that way. And what is that going to be with AI? So like I'm in over my head on this topic because I don't know everything about it, but I know that one of the big constraints is like energy. That's why all across the United States, they're trying to like reactivate nuclear reactors so that they can have more energy, because using AI takes a lot of energy. Okay, so what if that doesn't happen? So I'm just trying to say is that, a lot of companies talk about scaling with AI as being a primary, we'll say, feature or point that they're trying to sell, but it doesn't reflect in their UI. I mean, if you look at like ChatGPT, the UI is super simple, right? But that was the one thing that I always wonder when you go in, and it's like kind of what Christy was saying is, are you just tagging AI because you want to like get funding for a seed round, or AI or vaporware, all the things because it's the hot thing, and then it just helps you like in your onboarding process? Or is it something, that's the real deal, where it's actually an actual agent that's the accuracy is good? So I'm all for it. Like, I'm not anti-AI. I think that that there just might be a little oversold, or it might take a little bit longer, at least.
Brad, I would say, listen, I don't disagree with you, right? How many promises have been made in this universe? How many predictions have we made? I mean, quite honestly, we can actually be making the same predictions I made in 2018. But what I'm gonna challenge you on is tell you, like, in other worlds, and I'll just use our partners in the CX space, think call centers, support agents. They are 20,000 billion years ahead of customer success in terms of their technology and their innovation leveraging AI. I mean, it's pretty wild, right? I'm sure all of us to some extent have come across really cool things, and not in the customer success ecosystem. We are so far behind. And so what I think we're going to see is that the legacy players in this space, and listen, I'm part of it too, and we've got to figure this out at Client Success. So I'm not exempting us from this statement, but all the legacy players here are going to have a harder time because you've got new technology that are coming in AI first. And to your point with the simplicity and the mindset, I'm sorry, Salesforce, you guys are going to struggle too, because there's other challenges there, right? People love Salesforce. There's a ton of innovation there. But again, data accuracy, cleanliness, the complexity of it to get it used, stood up, rolled out. There is going to be simple tech that comes into space that's going to replace a lot of things because it is going to be AI first. It is going to be easier to use, easier to adopt, easier to innovate around. And so I think that's where we're going to see more disruption, is in those types of technologies rather than the ones that we're already seeing.
Do you think, follow-up question, do you think there's, in a year from now, Christy, are there more point solutions that are coming up where they're doing a very specific job, or are you going to start seeing those consolidate into the bigger companies like Salesforce? And
Brad, consolidation's been the theme for 2024. It's going to continue hard into 2025. In 2024, the reports already show we're 42% up in M&A than we were the previous year. 42% in SaaS in M&A. That is wild. There's almost 2,500 M&A deals that transpired in 2024 in the SaaS space. That's insane. We're going to continue to see that. There are we let too many point solutions get developed over the years between budgets, consolidated strategies. If you want to have a unified approach, if AI is your strategy, it needs to be unified, right? You can't unify 30,000 point solutions. It's not going to work. So we're going to see a lot more consolidation in this space, not only from people and their tech stacks, but you're going to see a lot more consolidation around companies too.
Give us the rebuttal, Marianne. I know you got it in you.
Are you kidding me? Salesforce is like Pac-Man. They are the ultimate consolidator.
Marianne, Success Panda can be purchased for the right amount. You just have to.
I mean,
I'll let them know.
Aren't we all for sale if Salesforce is buying?
I know.
I will let them know. I'll let them know.
Okay.
I will say, I think a lot of companies are using AI as a buzzword right now. I think they're sprinkling it in, saying, yes, we're using AI, but they're not actually doing the things that are required to do that.
Yeah.
At Salesforce, we have very safe AI. We have a Salesforce trust layer where everything runs on. It actually keeps all of your data completely safe. It never leaves Salesforce. It doesn't get shared by anyone. I think that's one of those guardrails that we have in place. I think companies need to have those guardrails in place before they can even think about implementing AI. People are trying to DIY their own AI. That has proven to be extremely, extremely expensive. And there they're seeing that there's lots of different things that they're trying to use, and it's just not working out financially. It ends up being a lot more expensive, just doesn't make sense. You need a lot more resources. So I think that's why our customers are happy to come to Salesforce, because they really do. We have so many steering committees. We have so many within the 70,000+ people that work here. We are all working on Agentforce together. And it's unbelievable when you crowdsource like that, the innovation and just like the safety that you bring to the table versus other companies like OpenAI, or I don't want to call anybody out, but I'm just saying, like, we use OpenAI. That's one of the LLMs that we go through. But again, having that trust layer just shows that your data is safe. And I think that's a big thing we need to think about for next year, for 2025, is safety with AI and making sure that your data is safe.
We could talk about AI the rest of the call, but alas, we will move on. What types of digital transformation we likely see in 2025? I think Christy gave a little bit of a, an answer to this, but we'll start with Brittany. What do you see?
Yeah, so I think that unless you have a scaled or digital customer success strategy in place, you should be prepared to fail in the coming years. Like Christy said, data-driven decision-making should extend to customer success. And in that vein, high touch is going to be reserved for those really complex enterprise relationships. CSMs in any role can really benefit from using technology to optimize those customer interactions. And a CS leader should really have a strategy in place to ensure all the customers are getting the support and coverage they need, no matter what size they are. So I think you're going to see a lot more digital and scaled teams going to market and how they're interacting with their customers. And if you're a CS leader and haven't addressed that yet, you're way behind, but you need to get on it. I think that is the future of CS. And we do have one question in the comments that I think kind of relates to that, where that will also lead to a consolidation, like Cassandra said, between account management and CS. I think that we've seen it at a lot of big companies. Microsoft has created a position called the Customer Success Account Manager. We also have those at DocuSign now, where again, revenue is going to be more directly tied to customer success. If we want customer success to survive, it needs to be able to speak the language and bring the value to the business, just like we bring the value to our customers. So
because title can't be long enough. Title can't be long enough. We need to just mash them together.
Yeah. I could talk about this subject for the next hour. So yeah.
Awesome.
I totally agree with that, though. I think that revenue is going to be huge in 2025, and that you will see more of like the merging between account management and customer success, because you want to have a number attached. You want to show value through numbers, and through metrics. You have to show that value that you're bringing to the customers.
And not just that, our CSMs work so hard at that customer relationship, especially in these high touch situations, that they should be rewarded for helping to close that renewal or getting that upsell. Really positioning the customer to be successful, not just now, but in the future, is going to become more important than ever. So I think revenue tied to CSM is great, because frankly, it's an opportunity for you to get paid more as a CSM if you're doing it the right way, if you coordinate and work with your account teams, and if you have that customer's best interest in mind. So overall, just having this customer first approach to at least part of the sales process is really exciting for me. I think that you're starting to see it a lot more in bigger companies, and those usually tend to trickle down to others. So a lot of consolidation, like Christy said.
So I'm going to weigh in on two things. So I want to come back to the revenue thing, because of course I have a point of view there, but let me answer and address the question on the digital and the scale. Obviously that's going to continue to be a focus, and not just because people have less teams, less resources, less time and things like that. It is the smart thing to do. I've always said every organization should be digital first, and then building on human resources where it adds value to the partnership. But I think what you're going to start to see is a bigger emphasis and driver around product. I think the numbers speak for themselves. CSMs are not superheroes. We can't fix everything. We cannot bridge the gap for a bad product. We cannot. And so unless you are selling an enterprise software and every deal is a couple $100,000 and you can afford to throw bodies at it, like Marianne, The rest of
We're
us,
not
Not my,
faulty,
not my
Marianne.
company.
We're not
I'm like,
faulty,
The rest of-
Marianne. Don't
you're
worry.
not a part owner of Salesforce?
I would love to be, but not yet.
So the rest of us are we don't have unlimited resources, right? And so we've got to be more thoughtful about it. Teams are going to have to start rethinking this, and product needs to fall in line. If product is too complex, too difficult, if it's not easy to use, if we're not enabling customers thoughtfully with additional resources and not just people, right? Like, what are we providing in terms of assets and education to support an end user's adoption of these technologies? We can't scale. And so all the process and all of the tech and all of the touch-ins and checkpoints and milestones, they don't work when everything else is failing. And so going back to the same reason I emphasize on the importance of data to power all these other things, it's going to be the same thing here, right? We've got to get all of this stuff figured out, and it starts with product first. So if CS leaders aren't advocating for product innovation in a way that drives better adoption, better usage, simplicity, we're going to continue to struggle the way that we have. And I don't care, you give us all the goals you want and targets and tell us to go sell all the things, we can't, right? People aren't going to buy more when what they've already purchased isn't driving value.
Yeah, no, I really like that point. There was a point where, one of the things before you want to do digital, like Brittany was talking about, like, hey, if you're not doing digital, you're behind. I think when we go out into the marketplace and you see companies that aren't doing digital, I think there's a good reason for that. They kind of understand, because the last thing that you want to automate is a bad experience, right?
Right.
Or a subpar experience where the product has, trouble, or there's some technical debt there. And so why would I want to automate, why would I want to automate that as opposed to just try to manage it through, relationships and people. So I think that's, for me, in my experience, and it's interesting hearing like this whole revenue discussion. I've been doing that since, I first got into customer success. I always was managing a number and had some sort of revenue responsibility, but the product thing is by far, especially being a founder now, like 90% of my time is I'm talking developers, thinking about how to make the product better. And the hard thing is like when you're bootstrapping, you're like, okay, this iteration, and then it's like, oh no, half the work that I did is not going to be effective. So it's constantly just rework. And so product can be quite emotionally draining, because you're just like, oh, this thing's amazing, comes back.
Oh, and listen, I'm the first to raise my hand and say, I know nothing about the product world, right? Like, I don't claim to know how hard their job is or how difficult it is to make a decision on this or that. I don't pretend to know, but I do know that as if the qualified leaders out there aren't partnering with customer teams, we're never going to get it right.
Yeah. Let's jump to next question. Oh, go ahead, Marianne.
No, I was going to say, going back to product, I think that in 2025, we're going to see a lot of upskilling as well. I think that CSMs are going to have to really, really upskill on what the product is and make sure that they're able to enable themselves on it as well as enable their customers. I think that's a huge part of it.
Agreed. So next question, what workforce trends do you see for both tech in general and then customer success specifically? So Brittany, you want to start us off?
Sure. So this is an interesting one, and this is a hot take for sure. Not every CSM wants to own revenue, right? Like a lot of people love that consultative approach. They love not being tied to a number or, God forbid, a quota. And I think that with that, I think you're going to start to see some CSMs move to other areas of the business. Now, before I get into this is not why I moved to the other area of the business. I saw an opportunity on our customer program side, and I was really excited about it. So I made that switch. But I do think that there's a lot of transferable skills as a CSM that could really be used in other areas of the business. So more and more companies are taking this customer obsessed approach, right? Which means that customer success skills and overall understanding of your customer journey is becoming more important, more noticeable. So if revenue targets are not for you as a CSM, or you're just looking to do something different, I really encourage people to start exploring opportunities that bring the customer lens to other areas of the business that could benefit. So That might be product, that might be marketing, it might be somewhere else within the organization that I'm not thinking of right now. But those two really stand out to me as having a lot of transferable skills as a CSM and bringing a lot of value to that area of the business, really already knowing the customer that you're working with and getting to include that perspective in product development, or include that perspective in how we scale, go to our customers, and go to market, that kind of thing.
And I
Nice.
just want to point out, you kill it at customer engagement at DocuSign. I got to see it firsthand at Dreamforce. This girl will put on any costume and get everyone in the crowd engaged. It is incredible to watch.
Well, I'm really
It
into
is
Halloween
Brittany's
too, so I just
superpower.
use that.
No,
Yeah,
it-
I think Marianne met me dressed up as Taylor Swift for the first time, which was a really poor rendition of it. But yeah, she's right. I
Amazing.
do enjoy that part of it.
Oh, you're so good at it. Like, it's what you just love, the customer interaction. Honestly, I think a lot of customer success managers go into it for that relationship building aspect of it. And that's such a smart way to look at it. Like, look at other places. If you're not interested in having that revenue attached, look at other places within your company that you can go to that still has that customer facing interaction, but maybe not that you have to worry about the revenue as much. You nailed it.
Thank you.
What do you think, Chrissy?
All right, workforce trends that we're going to see in 2025. I think we're going to get back in the field. I think that teams need to be in person more with their customers. And I think that budget cuts and other changes in organizations had prevented that for a while, right? We came off the pandemic. Then I think there was this spike of like, everyone was so desperate to just put on pants and shoes that everyone just ran out of their house. So then we got back in the field, and then we kind of like dialed it back because T&E was expensive and budgets were being adjusted. So I think we did ourselves a little bit of a disservice, because we all know, listen, we can do our best building relationships digitally. In fact, these two ladies have become best friends of mine digitally. So I know that there is value and it can be done, but we also know the real value that happens when we spend time in person. And I've spent time in person with both of them also. And we know that that definitely transitioned our relationship. So I think we're going to see more teams either being hired regionally so that they can be in location with their customers. So you're going to start to see, I think, even if we're continue to do remote hires, I think companies are going to be more thoughtful about where they're staffing in accordance with their customers to keep travel costs down, but to still be able to facilitate that in-person engagement. I think something else that we're going to start to see is, again, more specialty roles break out. We continue to see, yes, that there is a need for customer success teams to lean into different skills. We talked about up-leveling those skill sets, but the reality is the one-stop shop customer success manager isn't going to exist in the future, because the reality is you're not likely going to have the skills to be engaging executives, to managing revenue, to have strong technical aptitude, to be a subject matter expert. Like, this jack of all trades thing doesn't exist. It never did. It was kind of this fallacy that we all designed and pretended like it was real and like everyone was doing this. Nobody was good at it, right? It didn't benefit anyone. It didn't benefit our customers. It didn't benefit our companies to lie and just pretend like any one person had all the skills that they needed to go do the jobs that we were being tasked with. So I think we're going to see that broken down as well. The people that don't want to own revenue, I think they're going to be in a special camp. And I'm not doing any doom and gloom foreshadowing here, but if you are somebody who does not want to be aligned to revenue, I don't know that customer success is going to be in your future.
Agree.
I just don't.
Yep, same.
And like, if you're not comfortable with it, if you want to go die on that hill, that's fine. I just think that you're going to die on that hill unemployed. So I would either rally around this or go figure out where your skills are going to lend you better in your professional career.
That's good advice.
So-
I mean, I don't know.
So-
I guarantee you somebody's going to come for me in a DM, but
No.
it is just the reality of it,
They're
right?
not going for you in a DM. They're already here. I'm
I mean-
right here, Christy. I'm right here. So
No need to wait.
I figure
What
I'm
do
like,
you
I can go
have,
offline
idea?
for the next 2 weeks since the holidays, so they can't find me.
There you go.
there you
They'll
go.
forget.
Hide
They'll
behind your
forget.
Christmas tree. You'll be fine, Christy.
Right.
So it's interesting because we talked about this on last week's call. In the same question, we're talking about revenue and talking about CSMs. And I, as someone who has always owned revenue, I'm not anti-revenue. Okay, I have to say that over and over again so that the people understand. But I will say that the point I made last week, which I bring up again here, is, there are people who have big platforms, and so sometimes they talk about customer success. So I was watching a Jason Lemkin Sasser video, And at the beginning of the year, he had Nick Meta on from Gainsight, and he was trolling Nick by saying, "Hey, Nick, when can I get more customer success and less, hey, I'm here just to sell you something?" So the question is like,
Jason had a very poor experience, and he wrote and described what his experience was that led to that conversation. In all fairness, yes, you cannot be a CSM or an account or customer person if the only time you're engaging your customer is to ask for money.
Right. And the point that I was trying to make and bubble up for discussion, which is simply, is there not a trade-off when you start asking for money in any case? So Christy, you talk about your friends with Marianne and Brittany. If Brittany just said, "Hey, Christy, it's been a while since you sent me a gift card to Starbucks, these lattes don't pay for themselves." You'd be like,
she would send one though, because
I know, right?
She would.
No, she's like, "How much do you want?"
Right. She'd give you 10 times as much.
I would just give her my Amex card and tell her to enjoy.
Yeah, there you go.
You do that.
All right, Brad, I get what you're saying, but I'm gonna go and challenge it a little bit and kind of take a different position on it. I think the big struggle that folks have with the revenue component of their work is really tied to these ridiculous targets that are being set. Companies aren't working with customer success leaders, or I will say customer success leaders aren't leaning into the opportunity to have the appropriate discussions to decide what the targets are going to be. We're letting leaders top down mandate it with just data. So for example, teams are being targeted with, okay, you have to go hit this upsell or this expansion target or this number, but all of those people they're just using data. Okay. And what happens is those folks are in positions of powers. You've got CS leaders who don't feel empowered to go and challenge back to say, that's a great place for us to start. Now, I want to layer in the reality of what we are seeing from the customer insights to help figure out what the numbers should be and how we should be targeting it. For example, if you just upsold all of your customers, I'm being so extreme in this example, all of your customers in 2024, that well is dry maybe in January, February, right? Okay, there's not an opportunity to go get more money if I closed every single deal in 2024. And if that information isn't being provided back to the organization to say, you know what, January and February, we're going to have 1% growth, but come back to me in March when we roll out a new product and we've got new things and we have new use cases, and then we're going to readjust those targets. If we're working on an annualized plan, let's be thoughtful about it, but we're not having that conversation. And so what we're doing then as leaders is we're accepting a target that's been designed with no context, and then we're pushing that back down onto our teams who are doing unnatural things with their customers, which is driving a poor experience for both our customers and our employees, and we're still missing the number. And then when we miss the number, companies are going, oh, look, customer success can't do this. We're going to give it back to sales. The entire model is designed to set us all up to fail, and no one's stopping it.
There's so much there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, boom,
I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about why this is broken.
No, but for real, Chrissy, I was just thinking, because I have a small coaching practice that I do kind of on the side to help people. And I have 2 people who are in full-time jobs right now, and they are in CS account manager roles. And they're like, hey, I hit my quota, but I'm literally about to go back in January and February, less than 6 months later, and try to go back to the well. And I was like, what does your leader say? And so, it's just a perfect point. I'm glad you made that, because I can clip it and send it to him and be like, it's not just me, No,
and it's sad, but I don't feel like leaders feel empowered to go have that conversation. And I don't think, and listen, if you're a CCO and your CFO is just handing you a number, that's a problem there too. They're not respecting you as their peer, okay? If you're all C-level executives, you're all VPs, there needs to be a level of respect and collaboration that has to happen both ways, not one way. And so when your CFO is saying, sorry, this is your number, deal with it. No, I'm sorry. You need to be pushing back and having a conversation. This is not something you're inheriting. It's something that you're partnering on.
Anytime we start getting the hand motions, Christy,
I know. I'm all riled up now.
Yeah, this is what
getting all worked up on a Friday afternoon like this.
Here's what Brad needs. Brad needs some kind of a special effect where he hits the hot take button and there's flames that come up on the screen, because I am feeling the flames. I have my hands. I'm trying to keep them down. You're not doing them.
Well, now I'm curious, Brittany, Marianne, what are your thoughts on that? Do you see, are we in alignment on this? Are we not? Am I crazy? Yes.
Well,
different question.
You're a little crazy. Yes.
Those are 2 different questions, I think.
Compartmentalize those.
Agreed. I do agree. I think that to an extent, I think that we all really have to understand where the CSMs are coming from. Having that revenue tied to their role is not what was originally created in this role. And when when you're now asking them to do this, it will take some adjustment and some upskilling and some just collaboration with other teams and like sales you need to collaborate with product, just in order to gain those skills so that you can go and try to upsell people on the next quarter or whatever it is. I don't think you can just throw people in and say, hey, go sell, go bring us some more money next quarter, because go ahead, you Brad. Yes.
Follow-up question for you. Do you think that most CS people got into CS though because they didn't want to be in sales?
I think I know a lot of people that do. Yeah.
Legacy customer success folks definitely got into customer success because it was an entry point into SaaS that didn't require them to be a salesperson. I'm telling you. Look at their profile. Look at all of our experience. Go to everyone's LinkedIn profile. What did they do before they did this? Definitely didn't own revenue. Not the majority of them anyway.
Yeah, agreed.
But Marianne, I want to add to a point that you just called out. So like, yes, this is happening all the time. Roles are changing. And then what we don't do as leaders, every leader should be doing a skill and will assessment. Do they have the skills to do the job? And are they willing to do the job? And when we don't do that assessment, we're setting people up to fail. Because in addition to not having the skills, guess what investments are not being made in education enablement? Right? Sales teams get trained all damn day. They're always in some sales training meeting. I don't know about every company I worked for, I turn around. They're in a boardroom somewhere getting trained. CS people, though, it's like, oh, here's a link to a webinar you guys should attend. What? No skill development.
I would also say that giving your CSMs a choice, if you can, could be really pivotal too. There's a lot of skills that we have at CSMs that could be, like I already kind of talked about this, but moving to something like implementation or ProServe, or, if you don't want to be tied to that revenue number, if you have the opportunity to give your teams a chance to be like, okay, I still want to do a high touch role, or no, I do want to handle 40 plus accounts, and I do want to have multiple renewals that I'm closing each month. If you have the opportunity to do that, not everybody does, but I think that's one way to start to suss out the skill and will that you're talking about, Christy, and then really making sure you're retaining the talent, because your talent is great, but positioning them to both succeed for themselves and succeed for the business is really important too.
Absolutely. Just setting them up to success. You know what I mean? By doing that, when you harp on people's skills and what they excel at versus things they don't want to be doing, you're going to have two different camps. You know what I mean? If you have people that are really good at this, you put them where they will succeed in that role. If you have people that are not really good here, you don't put them in that same role, So yeah, I agree. I like that skill and will reference.
Oh, this was good. Okay, let's give a quick 30-second response to Rebecca here, because she's one of my homies. Would like to hear your perspective on, what was the question? I can't read that fast.
I think it said upskilling. Right? Yeah. Okay. What does she recommend? What do we recommend to
upskilling on and where?
I've got two, and they're like very contrary to each other. I think that you absolutely need to dive into all the free AI training that's out there, whether it's Google, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Microsoft. There's so much out there right now that you really should be absorbing. But in that vein, you can't forget about your people skills too. And I think communication training is a great way to up-level that side of things. So if you've got a balance between those things, I think you're positioning yourself to be in a good place for 2025 and beyond.
I agree. I'm going to piggyback off of that AI skills. There are a humongous amount of courses that are free. You can go through MIT, through Brown. Like, there are just tons of university courses that you can take that are free of charge to you just to get upskilled. We even have free upskilling at Salesforce, not a plug, but we do. We are offering free certifications up until December 2025 because we want the world to be upskilled in AI. This is such a quickly moving space that you don't really have a choice.
Obviously I agree with both of those, and there is so many free resources out there. I would just challenge people to just qualify before you engage. There's also a ton of people that are just building courses because you can. And so make sure that you're looking at the right materials and that they are authoritative and credible. Please do not just take a course because Susie LinkedIn poster wrote a course and you think she's now the new expert on something. Please, please, please check and qualify. There's just too much misinformation being passed around as well. Social media gives everyone a platform. That's a great thing. Social media gives everyone a platform. Not a great thing. So just be cognizant of that. Yeah, I would say, listen, from a sales perspective, because again, I do think this is part of it. I love Pavilion as a group. They've done a great job bringing the community around revenue together. Customer success definitely has a pillar in there. They have the CCO course. They have lots of content around that. I know it's not an inexpensive group to be a part of, but definitely worth the investment. Beyond building your network and being educated, there's a ton of events. There's a ton of things. So I would say Pavilion is a wonderful resource. So I'm going to plug that for sure. The other thing is you just need business acumen. A lot of people just don't even understand the business of SaaS. And so I will just tell you, like, go get some business training. That I can't plug anything. I don't have anything top of mind that I'm like, oh yeah, go take this course. But if that is an area that you feel like fundamentally, I don't know how my business runs, you cannot be a business leader first if you don't understand some of those elements. So that, I mean, like, listen, even go get yourself a coach, go figure something out, but like you definitely need to upskill in that area as well, especially if you have any leadership aspirations.
Nice. Let's do fire round because I have some.
This hasn't been fire enough already.
No.
I know. I literally had to shut my fireplace off because I'm sweating.
I know. I mean,
Priscilla stepped up and she put that fire out there for you. So now, Priscilla, you're going to have to be on every episode doing this, I think.
Yeah. All right. So fire round is more like we're going to go through a minute response for each because we got some questions I really want to get to and we're getting close to the end. All right. So what qualities will define a successful leader in 2025? Marianne, go.
Qualities for a successful leader in 2025. You need to be open to new ideas. You need to be adaptable. You need to be resilient. You need to be collaborative. I think that is a humongous thing for leaders. I think that in order to lead a team, you have to lead by example and show them you do not know everything and you can learn from them just as much as they can learn from you. So I think collaboration is a huge key to that.
Good job, Marianne. 30 seconds.
Thank you.
You get a gold star.
Concise.
I know. Good. Go ahead, Brittany.
I think that knowing all the areas of your business and knowing your business, what your company does, what value they bring to their customers, but understanding how marketing comes to the customers, understanding how sales, how product, how support, all of that, that's going to make you a better leader. It's also going to make you a better peer to the people that you are across from when you're having these leadership meetings. You understand their goals and you can speak to yours and connect those two things, which is what we already do in customer success is translating value into the customer's language. You have to do the same for your peers and for the business itself.
Awesome. Christy.
I'm going to start the way I just ended my last rant, business acumen. If you can't be a business leader, you cannot be a customer success leader. So you have to understand the business. And the other thing I would just add on that, like being a business leader means you're doing what's best for the business first and your team second. And I know for a lot of leaders, it's not how they operate today, but it is how you are successful.
That's a good question to ask yourself too, whether or not you want to go into leadership. You have to make that
it's not
decision.
for everybody. It's okay to not be a leader. It's hard.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, you learn a ton by, you learn a ton by failing. So I think failing is one of the biggest predictors of a good leader because I owned a business for 10 plus years and I learned the most from what I failed with then versus my successes.
That's why I'm the best leader out there.
It's true though. It's how you learn and grow.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because when you're a bootstrapping startup founder with a very small team, it's like, I don't have any aspirations to go public. To me, I always tell people the number one thing that I would hope for is between 5 to 15 of me and some homies just like have a business and things go well. We're able, it's interesting because when you ask people, why are you in business? there's the people who say I'm in it to make money, and then there's people who say I'm in it to bring in a product or service into the world that needs to exist.
Hmm.
Right.
Well, that's
So-
disappointing because I really wanted to see the panda ring the bell, but
Oh,
I
okay.
understand what you're saying.
No, I actually have
We'll
a
just
hot
send him a cowbell. It'll be the same thing. We'll make a video. It's,
Yeah, yeah.
We've already got
It'll be
TikTok
my
plan.
ideas
Big
for
plans.
2025, Brad.
Right.
Let's do this.
Yeah. No, I
We'll
have
edit it in.
I have a minority opinion. I'm still exploring it, but I'm not sure if like customer first companies can actually be public companies, but that's for another day.
Well,
But,
and not every business should go
Well,
public. Not
yeah.
every
well,
business.
also,
is
like,
supposed
I don't know. I think Chewy, and I'm just going to drop this after this, but I think
Do
Chewy
it.
is a wonderful example of a customer first big public
Mm.
company, right? Like, they get it right every single time. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead, Marianne.
I was gonna say, I say Salesforce is an amazing
I'm
customer
shocked.
first company.
Shocked.
Shocking.
Again,
Shocking.
it's just they put customers first. They're our number one,
They
you know,
kind
trusted.
of created customer success, to be honest.
They
I
did.
think that's
No,
kind
they
of where it
did.
started in SaaS. So I would hope that yes, the customer is first at the company that created that.
So
But I'm saying it
what
can be
lessons
successful.
can we carry from 2024 into 2025? Marianne, you were already on a roll, so keep chugging.
What lessons can we bring? Continue doing what you are doing with all of the resources that are at your disposal. Like, I think that, not to get back to the AI thing, but like, I think that we have so many new like technologies that are out there that we can utilize in 2025 that we didn't, or in 2024, I should say, moving forward, that we didn't have last year, that I think use those to your advantage in ways that can benefit you and your customer.
Brittany.
All right. I think proactive versus reactive in customer success is something that really got hot in 2024, but the criticality of coming out of a reactive customer success cycle, and it's really hard sometimes. Like you said, you can't out customer success a bad product, but getting yourself in a place where you know the business better than the customer, you know what their goals are, and being able to translate value that way, both to the customer and upwards to your business, is going to be incredibly important, especially as we move to a more revenue focused model.
All right, Christy, lay it on us.
There has been, I think, a rally around the fundamentals of customer success in 2024 and just people revisiting building it the right way to scale. I don't think that every organization has finished that project. I think people are still trying to figure out what their CS program and strategy needs to look like. I think we'll continue to focus on the fundamentals until we get that right, because again, all these other cool things that we want to do cannot exist without that. So if you don't have a strong foundation of what success looks like in a operationalized way that does scale, all of the fancy other things, guys, they don't work. It's building a house on sand. So I think we'll continue to see a strong emphasis on that until people get it right. And then that's when they'll be able to kind of hit that flywheel.
All right. What customer success events are you looking forward to?
Oh, can I go first? Can I go first? Can I go first?
Yes,
Yeah,
go.
you can go first.
CS 100 Client Successes event. It's annual every year in Sundance, Utah. This will be my ad because I could pretend to be Marianne and promote all of the cool things my
There
family
you
does
go.
too. So
Move over,
first one
Marianne.
is like
Move over,
customer
Salesforce.
success leadership camp. It's the most fun event for leaders, for aspiring leadership in the CS space. Every year, it's people try to rip it off and try to recreate it. They cannot. It's set at the backdrop of Sundance Resort in Utah. It is magical. It
It's
brings together
beautiful.
100 leaders. It is intimate in the best ways. You build real relationships there. We really focus on smart, realistic, practical, tactical data that you can go and apply when you go back to your desk the next day. I've been to almost every CS focused event, and this will remain my favorite. And even after I ever am no longer with Client Success, it will continue to always be the top of my list.
Which one have you not been to, Christy? Go
What's
ahead.
that?
Which one have you not been to?
Oh,
wait.
like to Tangos. I haven't been
Okay.
to. I haven't been to Churn Zeros, so I've not been to.
You
Churn
have
Zero
to
has
go to that next
Ze-
year because that's
Zero
in
In. I guess
DC.
it's called Zero In. They rebranded it from GYYGR I don't know, whatever it
Big
was
rig.
before. Thank you. I had Zero In. I have not been to, and I have not been to Tangos any of their events. I've been to Pulse many a times and all the post local events and stuff like that. I speak highly of those. They're great if you want to be in a big immersive customer success event experience.
Mhm.
I my preference is small intimate relationships that are real and lasting. So that's why I prefer CS 100. That wasn't a dig. That was just my positioning on the
Hey,
No
even if
offense.
it's not,
intimacy.
it's just
I love an
layering on
intimate
the
event.
APMs that are come. It's okay. There's a reason.
Well,
Go ahead,
CS 100 is on my list, but I'm going to take a note from both of you and plug an event. So, Customer Success Collective and their CCO Summit is coming to DC for the first time next year in January. And I am keynote speaking that one. And it's about a topic
Nice.
that we've already talked about today. It's more about the balance of technology and human touch and how you should never take the human completely out of customer success or any customer or human interaction for that matter. So, I'm really, really excited for that. And I'm trying to get CS 100 on my list because I've been hearing this not just from Christy, from a lot of people that it's amazing. Also love Churn Zero in DC too, because I love the opportunity. I usually take PTO actually, and I go into the city and I get to meet all these people that I met on LinkedIn, like you this year, Brad, when we got our awesome Panda Moped video. But
Crash free.
I want to
Big
lean
crash.
more into those CS events this year because I get so much joy out of connecting with other leaders and learning from them. So
Nice.
Absolutely.
All right, Marianne. If I can guess what you're about to say, then
Well,
No.
I don't.
Give
I
her.
don't need
No.
to.
She's not allowed to say Dreamforce or.
I'm not going to say
any
Dreamforce.
Dreamforce. Okay, what do you
I
got?
wasn't going to say Dreamforce. I would love to come to CS 100. Send me a ticket. I will go.
They just be giving these away. There's only 100. It's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
just
There's
kidding.
only 100.
I imagine it's like a golden ticket. I know, but I would love to go to that. CS Collective is a big one that we have that I would love to attend. It comes to Chicago. I'm based outside of Chicago. That is a good one. I'd love to do Churn Zero. I would love to go to. There are so many. Like you said, just connecting with the CS community is amazing, and just having those in-person connections makes such a difference, I think.
nice. So I can't agree more. I think there's a lot of really, really good events coming on, which is one of the reasons why I created Success Panda, so that all these companies can list their events on there for free and people don't have to find out where all they're going on and what the dates are. So if you are in a company and you want to just list your event on there, feel free to go on. Well, ladies, we are right here at time. It's been fun. And we did get some flame emojis and we saw some flames. Christy has a great banner on because really her house is on fire. All that fire that she brought. That's just her like Zoom background. But thank you so much for coming on. And where can people get in touch with you? Anything you want to plug before we head out?
For me, it's LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect. These other two ladies have many more channels.
not many more. I can't handle that many more. Definitely LinkedIn. You can find me there or at that customer success gal on TikTok. If you're looking for a laugh, you're tired of kind of the echo chamber that sometimes happens on LinkedIn. I try to plug some humor back into it because I'm the type that laughs so you don't cry. So come find me there.
Cool.
LinkedIn, and then you can head over to my website, christyfaltaruso.com. Tons of content over there. And I am also making a go at TikTok, guys. It is I am not as beautifully scripted and edited as Brittany, but I do give some interesting points and some hot takes on customer success.
Awesome. And with that, ladies, we will leave it there. We will see everybody in the new year in 2025. No show for the rest of the year. But Marianne, Brittany, Christy, thanks for coming on. And we will see you guys later.
Thanks
guys.
for having
Bye,
us.
guys.
Thanks, you.
Bye. Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
All right.